Not being able to process your emotions after a breakup, after a woman's left you or cheated on you, whatever the reason may be, can be very challenging for any man. And the problem with that is this: when we cannot process our emotions from that breakup, it can lead to a self-destructive path with vices. And this is what I want to talk about in today's video, because I personally have been through this myself. There's guys that I'm currently helping right now recover from breakups. They also have experienced this. And this might be something that you're going through. So let's get straight into it. I want you to really think about your identity. At this point, after going through this breakup, your masculine identity is broken. The person that you spoke to on a daily basis, probably saw quite frequently, created a lot of memories with, is no longer part of your world. She's gone. So this is a big shock to your system. You would have probably lost your purpose along the way in that relationship, or maybe didn't build your purpose as a man. You're dealing with the loneliness, the anger, the resentment, the rejection. All these emotions are circulating inside. And when we can't process these emotions and let go of them the right way, we end up just bottling them. And when we bottle these emotions, we'll end up eventually just blowing up. Because for us men, I'd like to say, there's no real support network. It's really hard for us to speak to someone who we can really relate with, who really understands us. Because you might have tried to speak to your closest friend or friends, and you just get the general advice. Just focus on yourself. Things will eventually get better. Start dating other women. And while this is true, it doesn't help you process the emotions of that breakup. Because when you go home, you're stuck with that loneliness. You're stuck with that broken identity, all those negative emotions, the anger, the resentment, the shame, the guilt, the rejection. That is your internal state. And that will remain the same way if you're not able to fix this. And again, it's not your friend's fault, right? They just don't know what to do. Us men are not good at processing our emotions when it comes to something like this. We've got the pressure of society telling us, we have to remain stoic. We have to be in control of our emotions. When it comes to something like a breakup, something that, we're not used to going through, it's very hard for us to move on from there. We need to speak to someone about this. We need to have the right support networks. And women, they're able to process their emotions much more efficiently. Biologically, they're hardwired to be emotional creatures. So when it comes to understanding that this relationship is no longer working out, that they no longer want to be with you, even though they're hurting inside, they're able to process it much more efficiently. So you might even check, let's say, her social media after your breakup, and it looks like she's doing well. She's starting to go out. She's starting to focus on her health. You can see that there are certain nights out with the girls. Maybe there's even guys in some of the photos. While you're here stuck going through the loneliness, you can't even process the emotions correctly. And there's even more anger and resentment every time you see those sort of things. And you just bottle up these emotions, right? Because you've got no real outlet. You bottle them up. And then eventually, it just ends up being a ticking time bomb. You just blow up. So the only way in your mind to combat what you're feeling, because you're thinking to yourself, she's starting to do better and I'm stuck, is to lean towards vices, to numb that pain. But that turns into a self-destructive path, because I personally did the same thing. When my 7-year relationship ended 3 years ago, when that woman walked out of my life, I was completely broken. I spent a lot of time with this person. And when she left, I just didn't know who I was anymore. I had all this negative self-talk because my internal state was all those negative emotions. Majority of my thoughts each and every day were just negative. So what I did was I just numbed that pain. I started leaning towards junk food, drugs, alcohol, started to sleep with a bunch of women. And this was the only thing that gave me temporary comfort. Because I didn't know how to process the emotions of that breakup, I started just indulge more and more in vices. And that really took over my life. That really put me in a very low position because my mental health was compromised. I started to form a psychological dependency on those vices. And it really destroyed me mentally, physically, and spiritually. And being in my 30s when it happened, it hit me a lot more differently. Because a lot of my friends at the time were already in relationships. They already had kids. They were already married. So I didn't really have anyone that I could really relate with. So I literally just stayed in my own little bubble and just kept indulging in vices. And that took over my life for several months. Because as I said, I couldn't really process the emotions of this breakup. I didn't know how. I didn't know where to start. I hadn't felt this low before. And I definitely didn't picture this happening to me. I didn't think this would ever happen to me. But this was a very low point of my life. And I'm so grateful that I overcame that adversity, that pain point. I no longer recognize that old identity. If only I knew what I knew now, I wouldn't be in that position then. But it's okay. This is part of my journey. My journey was to go through tough times, fix myself, heal myself the right way, so I can therefore help other people. So I can therefore be an inspiration to you and let you know that you're not alone, that you don't have to suffer in silence. Know that there is a way out. Know that you can reach out for help. Because when we just suffer in silence and we bottle up all these emotions and we start leaning towards vices and all the things that completely destroy us as men, it will get to a point where you'll just be walking around dead. The anger, the resentment, the rejection, all these low frequency emotions, which are literally just above death. If you look at the vibrational frequency chart, you've got death and then you've got all those low frequency emotions. And when you feel that way over and over again, which I used to feel when I was stuck in that dark place, you'll get to a point where you no longer want to be here anymore because you feel dead, you feel empty inside. Why do you think the male suicidal rate is high? It's because men suffer in silence. And that's why I'm a huge advocate for men's mental health, because this is an area that not many people talk about. There's a lot of self-improvement videos to better your life, but what about the guys that are really stuck in a very low position in life, who have all these negative emotions that they're dealing with? It's easy to say, do this, do this, do this. But when you're in a dark place, it's hard to get out of that dark place. So what I want you to take from this video is inspiration to know that you're not alone and you can change this around, because there's nothing special about me. I just chose to give everything in my power, whatever power I had left at that time, to go all in and destroying that old identity. That identity that was trapped in vices. I seek guidance from the man above to help me, to put me back on the right path. So if you need that help, this is something that I can help you with. If you're ready to make that change and you're sick of feeling this way, you can click the link down below and you can book a one-to-one call with me, and I'll see if you're the right fit for the program, if I can actually genuinely help you or not. But just know that suffering in silence, leaning towards vices, compromising your mental health, operating through this low frequency day in, day out, feeling soulless, is not the way out, man. It's not the answer. There is another way, and that's why I say I can offer that help if you need it. Reach out and start to resolve this problem that you're going through. Start to process the emotions of the breakup. Start to fix all the other areas of your life. Rebuild your purpose as a man. Because let me tell you something. 1 year from now, you'll be looking back so grateful that this happened to you, and write the best comeback story ever. Because that's essentially what I did. And when I look back at that tough time that I went through, that dark place that I was stuck in, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. God wanted this to happen to me, so I can therefore fix myself and help other people. And that's why for me, this is purposeful work. I love what I do. But look, I'm going to end this video here. If you're new to my channel, subscribe. If you know someone going through this right now, share this video. It will always help someone who needs that help, someone who feels alone, someone that feels stuck. And if you like the video, give it a like. And if you want to share your comments, drop your comments down below. Ending the video here. I hope you have a blessed and beautiful day. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.